Welcome back to Worley Family Homestead. I've had a lot of people ask me about the tractor that I've been using. So we've had a lot of rain here the last few days, so I ain't been able to do much outside. A whole lot's been so wet. So I figured today would be a good day to just kind of go over the tractor that we got. It's a 2019 TYM 474 tractor. It's been a good little tractor, and I'm by no means an expert on this tractor, but I'll kind of go over some of the stuff with it that I do kind of know about, and we'll go ahead and get started and kind of do a little quick review of the tractor. Okay, so this is a 2019 TYM tractor. It's made in Seoul, South Korea, but it's a good little tractor. From what I can understand from research, I've looked at it before. They make several different brands of tractors down there. It's a little 48 horsepower tractor. It's got a, I don't know how to say the word exactly, it's a Kajuki engine, little 4-cylinder diesel. I'll try to put a spec sheet somewhere in this video to try to help you out with that a little bit. But it's 48 horsepower. Plenty of horsepower for what I need to do right here. It's got, I believe it's 35 horsepower on the PTO, and I'll kind of get around the back in a minute and show you where that's at. Wind's trying to blow them a little bit today, so I hope it sounds pretty good. But we'll walk a little bit closer and take a look at the tractor. It came with the loader. That's a TX47 loader that came with it. From the specs I read, it's got about 21,000 pounds of lift. So I don't lift a lot of really heavy stuff with this tractor. Just pallets with feed on them. I have moved the chicken coop with it a time or two, but got a man gonna bring me some dirt here in the next few weeks so I can fill in a few low places, and I'll actually get to use that bucket a little bit more. The pallet forks on the front, I actually got them off of eBay. I think they're around $170. They just kind of, you can kind of see where they just kind of slip on the edge of my bucket, and they got these two long threaded bolts that run through the top. Just kind of secures down to the bucket. Wouldn't do a lot of heavy lifting with these pallet forks. Like I say, just again, we're just moving some feed around on pallets and a few other little small things. If you saw a video a while back, you saw where I loaded the lawnmower up on the trailer with it, which came in really handy. And but hopefully one day soon I can go ahead and get me the quick connect pallet forks to go on the front, where I can take the bucket off the front and switch it out to the actual set of pallet forks if I need to lift anything heavier. Got a few other attachments I'd love to get along the way. They got a grapple bucket and a few more other things that hook up to it really good. While I'm here, I'll go ahead and show you the quick connect on these buckets. It's just this rod right here. You just pull these rods up on both sides. It releases the bucket. You lower your lift down, scoot out from under it. This part of the lift comes out from under this lip, and this part here is what fits into the actual channel that's on the actual front of the front end loader. All this slides out, and you can actually go back and slip right up under another piece of equipment that you want to hook onto it. Put those levers back down, and it's secured back to the tractor again. But again, this tractor's been pretty good with me. I got some wet spots here on the pasture out here, and it's 4-wheel drive, which is something that's really come in handy. I've almost got stuck a couple times with this tractor, but between the 4-wheel drive, the locking rear differential, and that front bucket pushing me back, I got unstuck, so it wasn't too bad. I got a neighbor that's got bigger tractors than I got, probably come get me out, but I don't want to hinder him. He's already busy already enough as it is. But here it is. It's been a good little tractor so far. It came with a 6-year limited warranty. Hadn't had any issues with this tractor at all yet, and I hope I don't have any. I've got a service chart in the house. I'll try to link it down below too, somewhere or another. But there's not a lot of maintenance on this tractor. Changed the oil and filter in it after the first 50 hours. I believe after another 150 hours, you just change the oil, not the filter, which is kind of strange to me. I always change oil and filter both, and I probably will with this either way, because I'm just so used to doing that. But the factory recommendation said just don't, every other time, change the filter. So, but I'm gonna do both anyway. But again, this is a good little tractor so far. I'll go ahead and hop up on the front here and let you see what it looks like. Here's the dash on it. I got the one with the clutch. They come with hydrostatic transmission, which is a pedal you just push on the floor, frontwards or backwards. I actually want to get a clutch in this tractor because I'll be breaking land with it, disting, bush hogging, all kinds of different things, and I've always been used to a clutch anyway, so that's what I'm used to. Nothing against hydrostatic. I know a lot of people have them, enjoy them, and really like them. But on this tractor, it's got the clutch, which is this pedal right here. It disengages the transmission when you need to and change the gears. But the thing I really like about it, it's got a paddle shifter right here on the front. It's forward right now. It goes frontwards when you push it that way. The middle is neutral and back is reverse. So you don't have to keep changing gears from forward to reverse on the gear stick like you would a normal tractor. Well, the old tractors we used to use a long time ago. So this right here is really nice. You just push in the clutch. If you want to go forwards, push it forwards. You want to go back, pull it back. And that's really good. This tractor does have 4-wheel drive in it, and it's got it right here on this side. And I'm here backwards again. Let me show you on this side. You just pull this lever up right here. 4-wheel drive's engaged. Here's your PTO manual lever right here. And I'll get into something else about the PTO here in a few minutes. It's got a pretty comfortable seat on it. It's not that bad. It's got a couple of adjustments on it. The stiffness on the seat right here. This little knob right here in the bottom, that kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. That knob right there actually tells the tractor how fast to let your 3-point hitch down. But that knob in the front of the seat there actually adjusts that tension on that lift, so you can let it down very slowly or you can let it down pretty quick, whichever one you want to do. And of course, I still got the bush hog attached to it. We did some bush hogging a while back and got to clean all that off while I'm out here too. So here on the back, walking around it, here's where the PTO and everything's at. You got your 3-point hitch. Here's your lift arms. You got one on each side. Got your pins in them. You got your 3-point hitch goes up here. There's your PTO right here. This right here is a little shaft. It hooks up to everything that you got that runs off this equipment. This bush hog, I got a seed sower. You can get other kinds of equipment. You get a sprayer that's mounted on the back of your tractor. It's going to have a little pump that actually mounts onto your PTO, which makes the pump work so you can spray. I believe the PTO horsepower, I think, was 35 horsepower. Don't hold me to that, but like I said, again, I would try to get a spec sheet somewhere in this video. It's got your 2 rear hydraulic lines right here if you want any attachments on the back. Some of these tractors come with a backhoe attachment already on them, but it's always good to have if you got any equipment that may need some hydraulics attached. It's already back here to the back. It's got the stabilizer bars right here. Normally I have just a straight bar that comes out, but you see it's rigid right now. I can shake the tractor, but the implement behind it is not moving. This turnbuckle right here, you just screw it down tight. It puts tension on that drawbar there. That way when you're bush hogging on this tractor, that back wheel on it sometimes, if you're making turns or something, that bush hog can actually go from one side to the other. This actually makes this bush hog stay straight. Also good for when you're plowing. It keeps your rows and all straight as you're going through. So that's pretty neat to have. I've never had the turnbuckle, but I kind of like them pretty good. This tractor's also got a lift here on the back. Sometimes when you're hooking up equipment, if you don't have these arms just right, the line up on the pins here, sometimes you got to keep messing with your lever, which let me show you it right quick. Most tractors have the lever right here. This is the lift lever for your 3-point hitch to release your equipment up and down. If you don't have this lever on the back, you got to keep coming around messing with your lever trying to get it adjusted right. But this tractor here came with this lever here. This actually works your lift just like the one in the front of the tractor does when you're sitting on the tractor operating it. That comes in really handy. Never had a tractor with that before, and I really like that. If you're back here trying to adjust your equipment, trying to get it leveled out just like it ought to be, you can just stand here at the back of the tractor and raise it up and down if you need to. All right, walking on around, we're gonna come around to the other side over here, and this tractor came with a, well, I ain't never had a cup holder on a tractor before, but it's got a cup holder right here, a little spot here. Kim puts her phone in there sometimes, and somehow it don't fall out. I've never seen that before, but she ain't lost it yet, but she might. It's got a little 12-volt plug-in lighter here. If you got anything you need to plug in, if your phone or whatever needs charging up, I don't know, but they got it on there. It's nice to have. I don't really need it, but I'm glad it's there. I might need it one day. So over here on this side, we've got our, well, let me get this right here. On this side, we've got our lever right here to raise our equipment up and down, and it's got numbers on it to kind of tell you where you're at. Most time when I do the bush hogging, I usually run it on about 5, which normally keeps my bush hog pretty level. This knob over here is your transmission. It's your low, medium, and high range, and I use that quite a bit. Most time I run it in high. If I'm bush hogging, I run it in high, maybe first gear, second gear at the most. Don't want to get too fast with it. And here is your actual gear selector right here on this side. And I'll hop up on the tractor in a minute. It's a little bit better shot of that. So while we're over here on this side here, this is your brake pedals on this thing. It's got a little switch here at the top. You can just flip this over. It locks your brake pedals together. That locks your brake pedals together. That way when you mash one, both brakes are applied at the same time. But of course, they got this right here where you can actually do independent braking. A lot of times people at the end of rows will mash one or the other and make the tractor spin around a little bit faster and a little bit shorter of a turn. That way if you're doing inroads and stuff, you can just, when You mash this left brake pedal down, this left wheel, it's going to lock up, and your right wheel is going to keep turning, and it'll spin around a little bit quicker. Also on this tractor, which I think is pretty neat, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say it's a gas pedal. You can set the throttle on this tractor by hand throttle, or you can set it to a certain amount, and then if you want to go a little faster, you can mash that gas pedal right there. Well, it's a throttle, but it's a foot throttle. But you can mash that and speed up just like in a car or truck. Okay, here we are up on the top of the tractor, sitting on the seat. You got your instruments here. You got a nice little instrument panel there. It shows you the RPMs that you got. And I'm trying to get in there a bit closer so you can see this. You can see where it says PTO 540 right there below the 2500 RPM mark. That's where you want to run your PTO shaft, any PTO equipment that's driven by the PTO. That makes sure that everything's running at the optimal speed and won't bog the tractor down. And that's where that they recommend it to be running at on your PTO equipment. You got your hazard lights over here. Down here you got your, let's see here. Well, it's got a horn on it. It's got your turn signals. It's got your lights, high, low, and your other lights when you're going down the road if you need to for anything. Let's see if I can get back over to this other side. Right here is your information button. It'll light up the temperature of the tractor while it's running. This button here, this tractor regens once in a while. It's the new emissions thing that they've got. You can bypass the regen up to 3 times. If you're out in the middle of a field somewhere or another, the guy I bought it from told me, says, if this thing starts regenning and you're in the middle of a hay field and you're cutting hay or whatever with it, which I'm not planning on doing, but I may be bush hogging in a dry field. He said, go ahead and pull off somewhere where it's not real dry, because that regen is going to heat the engine up a lot more than it normally is, and the exhaust is going to be a lot hotter than it was, and just to keep your field or whatever you're doing from catching on fire, it's that much heat that could come out, so you got to be careful with that. But so far I hadn't had this thing regen on me yet, but you know, it's going to do it sooner or later. On this side over here, you got your hand throttle. This is what I was talking about a while ago. You just set this to whatever you want it. It's just a hand throttle. Once you put it to a certain spot, that's where it stays at until you push it back. There again, that's where you mash that little pedal, the foot throttle, if you want to speed up a little bit more. Most time when I'm bush hogging, I'll put it down to about, I don't know, about 20,000 RPMs. And then if I want to, I'll try to get it on with the foot pedal at about the PTO speed. And when I get to the ends, I'll let off and make my turns, then come back. And so I used both throttles quite a bit. Of course, here's your on-off switch right here. You got your key here. I'm gonna get this out of the way. Here is another PTO switch. And I tell you, when I first got this tractor, first thing I want to do with it was the bush hog. And for the life of me, I put this thing in, I got the PTO switched on, and I could not figure out how to get that PTO to completely come on. So you got your off right here. You switch it over this way, it's manual. Manual means it runs all the time. If you're on this tractor and you're bush hogging or whatever you're doing with the PTO engaged, and when you mash the clutch in, the PTO is still going to be engaged. So if you don't want that to happen, say if you're planting seeds or whatever you're trying to do, and you want this PTO to shut off every time you push the clutch in, you switch it over to auto. That way when you push the clutch in, when you're done at the end of a row, whatever you're doing, that PTO shuts off and it won't start back again until you let on the clutch to start the tractor back rolling again. But the problem I had with the PTO, here's one PTO switch right here. And we already showed you the PTO switch on this side, where it's the manual lever. You pull it on and off right here. Well, I put them two suckers in play, and I could not, for the life of me, get that PTO to come on and start that bush hog. So, dumb me, I called the guy back I bought it from. And, you know, you're supposed to read the manuals. First thing it says, read the manual before you use it. I don't ever read the manual. I look at the pictures once in a while, but that's about all I do. But I should have read the manual this time. Because for this PTO, there is a third switch. I don't really know why there's a third switch. I guess it's a safety thing. I don't know. But right here is the third switch. This little button right here. And me, you know, it looks like it's got a light in it, which it does. I was thinking to myself, when you put it in the manual lever over here, turn the manual switch on the dash there, I thought the PTO would come on, that little light would light up. And I couldn't for the life of me get that light to come on. So the guy told me, he says, hey, won't you try to push that button and see if it comes on? Sure enough, that's a push button. So you've got 3 different switches you got to turn to get the PTO to come on, which is okay, ain't no big deal. But I didn't realize that was a push button until he told me. So I learned that. So hopefully y'all won't have that same problem if y'all get one of these tractors. Another thing that I like to do, before I turn the PTO on any equipment that I've got, I put the RPMs down as low as they'll go, and I'll get all the PTO switches in place, and then I'll mash this button right here and engage my PTO, because I don't want my tractor to be revving real high when I engage my PTO, because it may break something. The bush hog I've got has got a bolt that runs back, and I'll show it to you in just a minute. That's a shear bolt, and what that's for, if you hit something too big with that bush hog, instead of it tearing your gearbox up on your bush hog, it shears that bolt off and don't tear anything up. So if you got your tractor revved up to the PTO at 2,500 RPMs and you hit that button, you're probably going to break something. So I always try to start mine off at the very lowest level on the throttle, and then as I get started, I increase the speed on it. So this tractor here, actually, heck, this thing's got tilt wheel on it. If I can show it to you now. This little button right here, and Kim loves that thing. I like to broke my leg the other day when she was bush hogging on it. She tilts the wheel down kind of low, but I reckon I'm a little bigger than she is. But I like to push it up a little further. But she didn't put it back, and I found out the hard way. But anyway, you pull that little thing up, and it tilts that wheel up and down just like in your pickup. So that's pretty neat. I'm going to go ahead and switch this instrument panel on if I can get this steering wheel out of the way so we can see a little bit better. And let's see if we can switch it on, see what it looks like. There we go. All right, so all your engine, the warning lights and all come on, so you can see those. You got your fuel gauge right here on the side. You got your hours at the bottom. I've got 76.8. I've got 76.8 hours on this tractor so far. And this little button over here, I'm fixing to mash the info button. When you mash it, it actually pulls up your battery voltage and your temperature gauge. This tractor ain't been running much, so it's only at 57 degrees. Most time it runs about 72 to 76 degrees, which is not bad for this tractor. Not bad at all, because it's been some hot days I've been bush hogging this tractor, and it's done really good. I'm gonna switch it back off again. I'm gonna see if I can show you the glow plug lights to come on. Since this is a diesel tractor, you got to wait for the glow plug light to go out before you crank it. So what it does, the glow plugs, for less better term, are like spark plugs in a regular car in a gas engine. These things have little heaters on them, and they heat up. That way when the diesel fuel is sprayed into the injector, that diesel fuel is a bit warmer, and it actually starts the tractor a little bit easier. You don't have to work so hard. So I'm gonna try to find this almost like a spring looking thing, but you have to wait for it to go off before you actually crank the tractor. And it's that little spring looking thing right there. And when that goes off, then you're okay to start the tractor. And I don't know if you can hear it or not, but you hear the little heater in there running right now. But all you got to do then is just go ahead and after you've run the tractor for a while, it does get to the point where it's already heated up enough that it starts pretty easy anyway. So that light won't stay on just a couple of seconds and they go right back out, so it's not that bad. While I'm up here, I'll go ahead and show you this side of the tractor. Again, here's the actual gear shift lever. It's a 4-speed, but then you got your 3-speed, low, medium, and high. Again, here's your implement or your 3-point hitch lever to raise it up. This little button right here actually works your hydraulics on the back side. If you have anything hooked to the back, them little hydraulic lines I showed you a while ago. Here is something that we use quite a bit. It's the bucket. It raises up and down, left and right, up and down. Of course, is up and down. Left and right actually makes the bucket tilt this way or tilt back that way. Either way. It's also got these two little buttons on the front. If you have something like a grapple bucket or something that's like a grapple bucket or anything else that's got any other kind of attachment that moves, like a claw that opens and closes, those actually make that part work. So I'm glad this tractor came with that. Also, if you're actually going to move this tractor and maybe haul it somewhere or another or do something else with it, when you press these two things down, here's your emergency brake. You push that down and lock it. Of course, I've got the pedals unlocked together so that one came back up. But there's your emergency brake or locky brake. So that's pretty much it for the control panels up here. Not a whole lot to it. It's pretty simple to operate. Like I say, and it's just a good little neat little old tractor. Like I said, I didn't need a great big tractor for what I'm doing now. Just bush hogging and disting and planting millet and winter rye, different things like that, and working in the garden with a little bit. But like I say, this tractor here suited us really good for so far, and look forward to using it more on in the future. Okay, real quick, let me go ahead and try to get you under the hood of this thing so you can see it when you do some of the maintenance stuff. Actually, you can see the right here, it's not that bad to do maintenance on because there's the oil filter right there. I mean, you don't have to raise the hood to get the oil filter, but I always do anyway. And your fuel filter and that kind of thing. But the raised hood on this tractor, you got to come around the front first. And with the bucket on, it's a little bit harder to do, but it's got this brush guard on the front. This brush guard has to be loosened and pulled forward because if not, the hood will strike the top of this hood bar, this brush bar before you raise it. But it's easy to do. They got these little catches on the side. You just take and turn that thing back. It's on a thread, just a couple turns. Come back and do the one on this side over here. Just a couple turns. And that whole brush guard will pull to the front. And it's clear out of your way. Just come back around to the side over here. Got a little latch right here that you pull. And it pops the hood up a little bit. Well, see if I can do it one-handed. Nope. But there it goes. It goes up right by itself. It's on cylinders, which makes it really easy to get under the hood of this tractor. You got your battery and your fuses right there in the very front. You got your air filter on the front and your transmission cooler. You can see I got to clean the screen out a little bit from last time that we actually did some bush hogging, but there's your radiator. And to get on this thing to do some maintenance to it, it's really easy to get to everything here. There's pretty much the entire engine right there, the whole thing. You can access about everything on this tractor that you want to. Again, here's the oil filter. One of the fuel filters right here, another fuel filter on the other side over there. But easy to get to, anything that you need to work on. I tell you what I did do when I first got this tractor, I noticed there was a little bit of an antifreeze leak. It was dripping out from under the tractor somehow or another. And so I kept looking at it, and I finally found out that I guess it's just one of them things that somebody just didn't ever do. But from the factory, let's see if I can get in here and take a look at it. The bottom water hose right there, if you can see that clamp on it right there, the hose was not pushed up quite far enough on there, and it was leaking a little bit around that clamp. So I loosened up, pushed it back on there like it ought to be, tightened it down, and it's not leaked anything since then. So that's been great. I'll go over sometime another when we change the oil in this thing, but I always like to check the oil in this tractor. It's got a dipstick that's dipstick's a little hard to get to, but see that, there it is right there, the yellow thing right there, there's your dipstick, but you don't have to raise the hood to check it. I always check my oil before I start using it. But when you go back to put oil back in it, here's the oil fill cap. You just take that off. If you change oil and filter, you just put your oil back in right there after you replace your filter and everything. And I'll do a video one day on it when I do the next service, because I'm going to change that filter again too. I don't care if they say it's every other oil change or not. I'm going to change it every time. And I'll try to get you the oil filter number for this thing. That's the only other thing I had with this tractor. When I tried to do the first oil service on it, I tried to look online and find out what kind of oil filter it was, because this oil filter right here, let me get in here and try to get you a shot of it. Maybe the focus on right there. I ain't got my glasses on, so I can't see good either. But either way, it says oil filter, but that's the only thing I can make out on it besides the 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything else is in, I don't know, Japanese, Korean. I'm not sure what language that is. But it don't have a number on it. So when I tried to get online and order a filter for this tractor, they had so many different kinds, I didn't want to get the wrong one. And when I typed in T474, it will pull up everything under the sun but that number. So what I actually ended up doing, I actually went back to the man I bought it from, which is about, he's about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours from here, down in Salemburg, North Carolina. So I went back there to him. I said, hey, you got any oil and filter for that tractor? He said, I sure do. So I got it from him, and the box it came in had a number on it. So I can cross-reference that number from now on if I need to get a filter. Because I had to go 2 hours to go get an oil filter every time I changed the oil filter in this tractor. And I can get it here locally at these parts stores for here around town. But anyway, if we didn't throw that box away, which I tried not to, but you know how things get turned around sometimes. If I can find that box and that number, I'll post it on the video. That way, if you've got one of these tractors and trying to replace the oil filter on it, you can cross-reference that number. Because I've looked in the owner's manual, I've looked online, and like I said, there's some that's popped up, but not exactly for this particular model tractor. So I was kind of scared to get it. I didn't want to mess this tractor up, and so I actually went back to the man I bought it from and got a filter.